Hello YouTube, today I'm gonna do a comparison on the Game Boy Pocket and the Nintendo DS Lite. Now, I've already done an overview of the Game Boy Pocket like a few days ago, or maybe a week ago, and I didn't talk in that video. It was no speech because I was in a really big rush. And I was saving the speech for later, so now I'm doing the speech right now, today, and now I am going to do the comparison of the Nintendo DS Lite and the Game Boy Pocket. Now, there's a big difference between them, but the only same thing is that they are both Nintendo consoles, portable consoles, except for the DS Lite is not a Game Boy and the Game Boy Pocket's not a DS. So these are the difference. These are the major differences. Now, the Game Boy Pocket only has A and B buttons for their main buttons, but the DS Lite has 4 buttons. It also has A and B, but it also has X and Y, just like the Super Nintendo. And the start and select are physical, so they're actually easier to use. As for the Game Boy Pocket, it's harder to use because it's rubber and there's no physical noise. And the D-pad is a lot harder to use, but for the DS Lite, the D-pad is much easier to use. It's much thinner, and buttons are right here for the Game Boy Pocket, and it just turns on like that. And the Nintendo logo comes up, but the Game Boy logo was not invented that time. Actually, it was, but not on the physical screen. For the buttons, the DS Lite is right here, and you just open this up, and then the logo comes out, and that's just the startup screen. So now we're gonna compare the cartridges. Now, the main reason why I am making this video is to show you what big changes has happened over the 10 years of video gaming. Now, back then, in 1989, these cartridges were really small for their time compared to the NES cartridges. And gamers were amazed at how small the cartridge is. But 10 years later, something new comes in, and it is only 1/4 the size, and it's much thinner. As you can see, the DS cartridge is way smaller and thinner. So those are the big changes of the 10 years. Now we're gonna compare the boot up test. So what I'm gonna do now is turn both DS and Game Boy on. Well, not at the same time because I'm using a camera, an iPhone camera, and I can only use one hand. So I'm just gonna do a comparison. Like, I'll just start the Game Boy Pocket first, and then the DS. So the big changes is that the DS Lite has a backlight screen. It has color, and it has a touch screen. The DS Lite has 2 screens. As you can see, you can just touch that screen and just go to picture chat. And also it has a menu. The Game Boy Pocket does not have a menu. It has a startup screen, but it does not have a menu. And the screen is black and white. It has no color. It has no backlight, and it has no touchscreen. And major change. It's also a small screen, but as for the DS, it has a large widescreen, and they had made that screen. They had created a widescreen after the Game Boy Advance, the original Game Boy Advance, and that is the major difference. That is a 10-year difference. This is how much Nintendo has changed over the 10 years. Now that's what I wanted to show you. And now let's compare. Last thing to compare is the thickness. So what I'm gonna do is turn both of the consoles off, except for the thickness. I'm gonna close the DS like this, and let's compare the thickness. Now the DS is a bit fatter than the Game Boy Pocket, because the DS really didn't try for them to be thin, but for the Game Boy Pocket it's really thin. As you can see, for their time it was really thin. But in 2008, when Apple tries to make their products thin, in 2008, that's how thin it is. But in 1996, when Nintendo made their product thin, it was It was actually pretty fat. It's just like the iPod Mini or something. And now we're gonna compare the size, and definitely the Game Boy Pocket beats the size. It's smaller and it's more easier to carry around. As for the DS, it takes up more room, but that's the only part the DS loses in. DS beats the Game Boy Pocket in every other way except for their size. But nothing beats this iPod Nano 4th generation. As like in 1996 cannot beat 2008 Apple products. That's just a little extra there. So now I'm gonna sign out. This is DCR123 signing out, and we'll see you next time.